Board of Education makes available at least one current copy of the Opens Meetings Act, which is posted on the west wall of the meeting room and accessible to members of the public. Will you please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will start with the consent agenda. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the consent agenda as presented, including approval of minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting on April 8th, 2024, approval of the proposed accounts for payment, approval of budgetary receipts and expenditures for April 2024, approval of Committee of the Whole minutes for April 25th, 2024, approval of option students, approval of contracts for the 2024-2025 school year. Brennan Reitzman, Middle School Social Studies, Haley Weirs Bolt, 2nd grade, Briley Love, 3rd grade, Nathan Bianchi, High School Resource, Alicia Spencer, 5th grade, Chelsea Bolts, 3rd grade, Stacy Plessel, 1st grade, Diana McClure, High School Special Education, and rescind the resignation of Darcy Haroldson, Elementary Special Education.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Jason, do you have a treasurer's report?
I do. Just quick before I get to the treasurer's report, Darcy Haroldson rescinding her resignation to come back and help us as another contracted position with elementary special education. So we're excited that she decided to come back. That is good. So for the treasurer's report for April, expenditures for April, bills totaled $1,293,517. Payroll was $1,849,556 for a total expenditure amount of $3,143,073. Just a note, $434,100 of those expenditures are reimbursable costs through ESSER 3 or the NDE security grant that we've applied for and did successfully receive that I'll tell you more about at the end of the meeting. But revenue for April was $2,374,242. We are now 8 months or 2/3 of the way into the budget cycle, or 66.64% of the way through the budget cycle, and have expended 60.15% of our budget authority. So we are in good shape.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Are there any items that the board would like to pull off for discussion? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, outstanding recognition. Business Friend of the Month, Mr. Alexander.
Okay, Joe, can you come up, please? Okay, so as you all know, we every month try and find a business friend, which is never a shortage of people to welcome to our board meeting and thank them for the work that they do for us or for the gifts that they bestow upon our students or staff or whatever the case may be. We try to recognize the businesses that are so generous and supportive of us. As you all know, the past couple of years, we've had a little project going on the east side of town, and we are very excited tonight to welcome and thank Houseman Construction for their work and being a terrific partner in the past 2 years as we've gone through the construction project. It started with it doesn't seem like very long ago, but it's actually been a terrific job. They've been easy to work with. They have communicated with us on a regular basis, and from the beginning design phase with architects involved to now where architects come and visit and keep us updated at our OAC meetings, Houseman has been a leader at the forefront in everything we've done. Their construction management and account managers have communicated well, helped us make good decisions, and their job handling, all of the details have all made this project much easier due to their professionalism. And so tonight we have one of the lead construction managers here with us, Joe Hendricks, who, interestingly enough, also happens to live in Beatrice and has kids in our system. So he has been one of the lead construction managers of the project. I'm sure he has a different title than that, but that's what
Project manager.
Project manager. So
yeah.
but he has done a terrific job and has a vested interest, which is nice to have working on the project as well. And so overall, with Houseman involved, we have seen a very smooth construction project take place, and we just want to say thank you to Joe and to Houseman Construction. So he gets to take the certificate back, but we thank you for being here tonight. So Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
And we need a picture. Oh, lucky you. We left this part out of the email.
Yeah, you guys didn't say anything about that.
All right. Thank you, sir. And you're free to go or stay, whichever you'd like.
I got 2 kids I gotta go home and put to bed, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you the next time you all come out for another tour.
Okay.
So, thanks.
Thanks, Joe. All right, next up, Student Board of Education member, Mr. Alexander.
Okay. Maddie, would you please come on to the front? So tonight, we are wanting to recognize and thank our senior student board member for all of her work that she has put into this year, attending board meetings and giving us reports. She's done an amazing job of keeping us posted on student activity across the district. She's done her due diligence to make sure that we know what's going on. And the incredible thing about it, like many of our students, Maddie has done all this while being involved in golf, swim, National Honor Society, student council, leadership, and she was nominated to Nebraska Miss Amazing all at the same time. So she's a very busy individual. Her reports have been thorough, and she has done a marvelous job of representing the class of 2024 as a leader in the classroom, on the field of competition, and being an overall terrific person. She's much like her mother and always has a smile on her face. We will miss her shining and upbeat personality coming to board meetings. We thank a huge thank you to Aaron and Jackie for allowing her to serve as student representative to the board. And with all that said, we not only have a certificate of recognition, but a job contract as well, as you will be majoring in special education when you go to college. So you already have a job when you come back, all right? It's in the packet. Just sign it, stamp it with a little blood from your thumb, and we'll be glad to have you back. Maddie, it's been a tremendous honor to have you be part of our Board of Education. Thank you for being here, for filling us in on what's going on, and we wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. Next up, district retirements.
Okay, so as is the case with many years, every year, we have a number of staff that have served their time and reached that magical age where age and experience equal retirement. I think that's 85, in other words, and some go further, some don't, but we've reached that age. We have a wealth of people who have reached that and are going to be leaving us this year. We want to recognize the certified staff retirees by name tonight and their years of service and thank them, and then we have 2 special ones that we want to recognize as well. And we'll also mention some classified staff retirees as well. We do have a ceremony at the end of the year that we have teachers, all the teachers attend, and we do this as a district, 1 school, 1 family. And so we have had that recognition ceremony already, but we feel it's important to recognize these people here at a Board of Education meeting too. So Dave Bell, middle school language arts, will be retiring after 32 years. Cindy Gromwald, middle school math, 35 years. Pam Hill, Paddock Lane counselor, 24 years. Jeff Junker, middle school PE, 31 years. Brenda Meyer, Lincoln Kindergarten, 28 years. Beth Cedarberg, high school special education, 12 years. Dick Stewart, middle school math, 39 years. Stacy Sykes, middle school math, 31 years. And then we also have with us tonight Betty Repigal, Paddock Lane principal, 36 years, and Jason Suter, high school principal, 35 years. All in total, folks, that amount of, the total amount of experience that will be walking out our doors is a collective 303 total years of certificated teaching or administrating experience that will be leaving us. So a lot of great folks. But before we close tonight, we want to recognize two very special people. So I would ask Betty and Mr. Suter, Mrs. Repko and Mr. Suter, please come up. What happens when you retire? Come on up. Don't be shy. So, as a Board of Education, you hear from a lot of individuals, whether in the community or teaching staff, but you work probably most closely with us as an administrative staff. And I think it's important that we take this time at a board meeting to recognize two pretty important people that have been a part of our district for a long period of time. And just a few comments to pass along about them. We'd be remiss not to take this opportunity. So first of all, Mrs. Repple, she's been with BPS for a total of 36 years. She's been a principal at Paddock for 3 years, then Paddock and Stoddard for 27 years, and she finished the last 6 years at Paddock Lane selectively. Mrs. Repple is a consummate professional and has been a dependable and reliable part of the lives of our youngest learners in the community of Beatrice for 5 decades. Now you stop and think about, wait, you said 36 years, Jason. That's true, but her total collective educational experience in our community is 50 years. That's an achievement that is not heard of very often in this day and age. Being an elementary school principal requires more patience than a person can imagine, because at any given time, she could have been the person serving lunch, covering a class, doing recess duty, or solving a dispute over Foursquare that happened on the playground and trying to get it all rectified and kids back to class so they can learn what they need to learn. In words of wisdom, Mrs. Repple shared with me, she spoke about the importance of building relationships with parents that open every door to a good relationship with students, and I think that's very true, especially at the younger elementary age. In the exit interview with Mrs. Repple, she spoke about how she always wanted to be a teacher, which was going to be a career. But she realized about halfway through she wanted a profession, which is different from a career. So she became a principal. What started as a job transitioned to a career, and now she understands that it's become a vocation. And she said she's not leaving her career or her profession, she's leaving her vocation, her true calling. Many people don't even know it, but Mrs. Repple has bought shoes, backpacks, clothes of all types, coats, hats, gloves, snow boots, and about anything else you can imagine that an elementary child would need, so her students didn't have to go without. We will miss Mrs. Repple's dedication to Beatrice Public Schools, her dedication to families of all backgrounds, and her emphasis on supporting the children with unwavering principle. So thank you very much. This is not easy to do.
I'm so very happy. Thank you.
Next on our list tonight, our hit list, is Mr. Suter. Mr. Suter has been with BPS for 36 total years as a teacher and a principal. However, he was first hired as seasonal help at Beatrice Middle School by Mr. Terry Brethauer, who most of you know. And Terry was his supervisor, who taught him the importance of how to take gum off the bottom of desks and buff and shine the floors. So that's how we got to start. Mr. Suter taught social studies for 11 years and has spent the last 25 years in the role of high school principal. Another achievement that you don't see very often anymore in our day. There are leadership quotes in every industry, whether it's business, healthcare, etc. But one of the all-time great analysts of leadership and education was John Maxwell. And he said, leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. And when I think of Mr. Suter, I think about how he's empowered teachers and students for many years and what he's and how he's conducted his vocation as a principal. It should be no surprise that in the exit interview given to all retirees, Mr. Suter talked a lot about the accomplishments of students and staff and that he served, and indicated he would miss those aspects of being the principal, watching kids accomplish their goals and staff interact with them, were a lot of what his comments revolved around. When we talk about our instructional strategies for high reliability schools, so you hear us a lot of times as a Board of Education talk about our high reliability schools and the instructional strategies we're using to meet them. At the very bottom level is level 1 of those instructional strategies, and it talks about the foundation, which is creating a safe, collaborative culture in the day-to-day operation of the building, which is the most important piece of strong instruction, and that's building positive relationships. And I think Mr. Suter is the epitome of building positive relationships, a lot with parents, but most importantly with the students. When these aspects are in place, learning can happen, and Mr. Suter has mastered the art of relationship building with students and staff. Students are greeted most every morning by Mr. Suter, and in the afternoon when leaving school, you can see him at the exit of the building or out on the sidewalk telling students to have a good evening. However, it's not to go unnoticed that he may go home for an hour, eat some supper, change clothes, walk the dog, whatever he does, but those students know it's not the last time they're going to see him most evenings, because he's going to be back at the building watching them participate in all the activities that they do. The role of high school principal is not easy, but Mr. Suter has made it look that way. His calm and methodical approach has carried the day in the most turbulent of waters since in the last 6 years that I've been here, and I'm sure many more before that. His ability to think through a situation instead of just react to it has helped secure the confidence of everyone around him. Folks, I've had the chance to work with several principals in my 17 years of being a superintendent, and there's no doubt in my mind that Mr. Suter is by far the best high school principal I've ever worked with. He's a friend, he's a colleague, and he's a professional as well. I told him that in our conversation about his retirement, that when I go home at night and I lay my head down on my pillow and get ready to go to sleep, I fall asleep a lot better knowing that he's going to be at the helm at Beatrice High School the next day. And I'm sure I'm not the only superintendent that has felt that way that's been part of this district over the last 25 years. Mr. Suter, we will miss your gentle spirit, your kind heart, and your passion for kids, and your quick wit in our administrative team meetings. Your impact on students, staff, and the community has been dependable at all times in all scenarios. So thank you for everything you do. I appreciate it. Thank you. Very much. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. And you guys are free to stay, or you're free to go. I will turn you loose early if you'd like to. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you, Jason and Betty, and all the other teachers that are retiring with us, and staff members. Next up, information portion. We will start with the last student update by Maddie.
The preschool had a great turnout to the family picnic in the park. So many families came to enjoy lunch and play in the park. At Lincoln and Stoddard, students had fun at Walk the Track. Classes have had fun going on field trips, and last Friday, Stoddard students raced their way around the track at Track and Field Day. Paddock Lane has been very busy. The week of May 6th, our we had our 16th Walk the Track Day. This was their celebration for raising over $1,800 for the new pre-K elementary playground. Along with all the fun activities, they closed out the day with a wild inflatable race between teachers. The students yelled wildly, cheering on the characters. On Friday the 10th, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders participated in the elementary track and field day. Paddock Lane students did a great job of representing their school. The week of May 13th, there will be lots of field trips, end of the year class parties, and 5th grade recognition day. Everyone is excited yet a little sad to see the end of the year. There is a lot of excitement over moving to the new school next fall. At the middle school, the 7th grade boys and 8th grade girls are Trailblazer Conference track champions. The 8th graders will be visiting the Homestead National Park for science activities and the Gage County Courthouse for a mock trial event over the book Strange Case of Jekyll and Hyde. The 5th grade and 8th grade students had a successful transition visits last week and are ready to begin the 2024-2025 in their new school. At the high school, Seniors Honors Night took place Saturday, May 4th. Show choir finished up this year with a concert on May 10th. The band is having their last concert tonight, May 13th. The baseball team finished up their season today with a close loss. State track and district golf are happening this week. State tennis will happen next week. The seniors from leadership class raised approximately $2,700 to help the new elementary school. They did this by painting orange and black O's on driveways in the community. The seniors' last day is tomorrow, May 13th, and the graduation ceremony is May 19th. The rest of the school's last day is May 23rd.
Okay, thank you, Maddie. Next up, board reports, committee of the whole. Doris.
The Board of Education Committee of the Whole meeting was held on April 25th, 2024. On the agenda was a couple of strategic planning updates. One from the high school. Mr. Voigt provided an update on the high school's goals and the process staff went through. He also said improving ACT scores and increasing the graduation rate are the primary focus at the high school. Mr. Suter shared that a committee was formed to pursue working on the development revision of a personal electronic device policy. Mr. Alexander talked about ESSER's grant funds and said that as we prepare for the opening of the new building, there are ESSER's funds that the district would like to utilize to purchase some cleaning equipment. Mr. Alexander shared the current classified pay schedule as well as a draft proposal for next year. He noted that the schedule continues to move the district towards the $15 per hour requirement that will be coming in January of 2026. It's an approximate 44-cent per hour increase. The overall budget impact for the administrative group will be negative with the reduction of one administrative position, while the other contracted group is an approximate 3% increase. We also heard a new building update. Mrs. Timmerman used a presentation to highlight the information as they prepare for the transition to the new building to include classroom furniture, moving logistics, room assignments, master schedule, and tour details. That ends my report.
Thank you, Doris. Next up, Stan's report. Jason.
We had a stance Zoom meeting last Thursday and just covered some basic legislative updates. LB 71 has some complications that including evident conflicts between rule and recently adopted state statutes, so there's a little bit of work to be done there moving forward. We did hear about, we've all heard about the special session that the governor is supposedly calling at some point. At this time, there's no clear, real proposal, so we keep an open ear on the ground as to what will happen with that if it does come. We did review the State Board of Education agenda meeting from the previous Friday before that, and talked about the dress code policy that will be enforced from the Department of Education. There's a draft dress code policy we'll be sharing with you coming this week that every school board in the state will have to adopt. The next meeting for stance is May 22nd from 9:30 to 11:30. That will have a Zoom option for attendees as well. And this is the final organizational meeting, or final meeting of the year, which also serves as the organizational meeting for the coming year, where we conduct an annual review of bylaws and determine officers for the 24-25 school year.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Next up, public forum, citizens' request for comments. Seeing we have nobody here that would like to comment, we'll move on to the discussion portion. We will start with accreditation review. Dr. Nielsen.
Okay, in front of you, you have the accreditation report and update. We will not be reading it word for word. We will be going through it briefly. But, let me make sure I get it for everyone else. There we go. So as you look at this accreditation report, what we are looking at is a report from what happened in February. We had 2 visits. We had the high school visit and then we had the K visit. And so we're just going to give you a synopsis of what happened. So as we look at the K-8, some of the quotes from the team members and interviews that we noticed we are very focused on positive relationships in a sense of community family. We all get along and stick together. That was a quote from a student, and it really summed up what the team saw. And so they were very excited when they shared it with us because it really just exemplifies who we are, who Beatrice is. And I think as Mr. Alexander shared earlier in his comments about Mr. Suter, Mrs. Replogle, you truly see that we find a way to stick together and get it done. As we move on, so the commendations are really the positive things. What did they see that we're doing well and what should we continue doing well? So we have a supportive, positive culture and community where stakeholders engage to benefit students. We have a clear sense of family. We have clear pockets of excellence that exist in all buildings. Instructional time and staff resources are allocated to differentiate learning based on student needs. So we have a start. Yes, we have a ways to go, but we still have a start. Systems are being built to successfully support student academics and behavior, and professional learning community structures are in place, and we are rethinking how we are going to provide that collaboration time for next year. So those are 3 areas, and notice that they clearly align with our strategic plan components, and that was one of the very nice things about the Nebraska frameworks is everything was aligned back to that strategic plan. As we look at then our recommendations, again, everything is aligned back to the strategic plan. So strategy 2 really focuses on the first recommendation. These recommendations are not directives, they're recommendations to help us improve. And so they're recommendations that we really should take a look at and figure out, okay, if our peers are saying that these are areas where we can continue to grow and become better, we do want to take a look at them and we do want to look at how we can continue to move forward. So, number 1, establish consistent guidelines and parameters from which buildings can then guide building goals and targeted professional development plans. So this is a piece that we are working on this summer already. We are working on getting back to one of the things we did before COVID is we documented everything we did. During COVID, we kind of went away and shifted and just focused on health. Now we're working on getting back to where we were before COVID. So that is one of the things that we're working on. Number 2, the second one is ensure a guaranteed and viable curriculum is available to all students, paying special attention to disaggregated populations that demographics indicate are growing in the district. We know our English learner population is growing. We need to do something different. And so that's one of the places where they said, you've got a changing population, now figure out how to address it. And one of the things we're providing this summer is professional development for our teachers to help meet our EL students in the classroom, but also working on creating an EL playbook for our teachers to utilize so that they understand this is the curriculum that we will have, these are the tools, these are the helpful strategies that you can utilize in the classroom to help this child be successful. And the third one is begin to connect the dots and align all efforts, focusing on clear, coherent MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems of support, decision rules around clear academic and behavior goals. We have places that have started on this, and so now it's just aligning at K-12. That is one of the things that we are talking about. PK-12, we have PK pieces, we have elementary pieces, we have middle school pieces, we have high school pieces, but now bringing it together. So it is connecting those dots so that when students transition, it's an easier transition. So That is a summary of the K-8 experience. Any questions or thoughts? Okay, I'm going to move on now to 912. So this is the Cognia area. As we look at this, again, the motto of focused on family. The motto, one school, one family, is still very present. Even though it was developed, I think probably 6 or 7 years ago, if I may be correct. It's been in place for quite a few years. And so it is still very present and at the forefront of all of our kids. And that's, the cool thing is it has not left. Staff support and help each other. Students believe teachers are there to connect with them and not just teach them. I think that goes back to the relationships, that foundation piece that is present in that building. So our noteworthy practices. Cognia calls them noteworthy practices rather than commendations, so there's a little bit of language change there. Committed to fostering a family-oriented culture where students and teachers feel supported and known. So going back to that relationships. Staff feel supported and empowered through the new school improvement process. So there's shared leadership with that piece. And I think that's huge. That's a starting point, because if staff feel empowered, that's where changes are going to happen. And then 3, students feel consistently seen and heard by their teachers and administrators. Again, we've got to build those relationships so we can work on the instruction. So the areas for improvement. As we look at this, formalize a professional learning plan to strengthen student-centered instruction. And that goes back to the Nebraska framework recommendation that really talks about establishing consistent guidelines and parameters. And then the second one is modifying the continuous improvement process to systematically include the analysis of data. So really focusing on what data pieces are we looking at, what data pieces are we not, and making sure that everything aligns and our goals are very data driven and really pushing us forward, and we're knowing what impact everything we're doing is making. Okay, so there ends my report with the accreditation update. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, van fleet replacement, Mr. Alexander.
Yeah, so I sent out a little bit of information regarding this issue with you. Just wanted to discuss it with you before it becomes an action item down below. Essentially, as you know, the van that we ordered won't meet the new laws that were changed in mid-December by the Federal Department of Transportation, or FDOT. So the new laws basically outlawed 15-passenger vans like the one that we ordered. Thankfully, our dealer has refunded the money, and so we are back out in the vehicle search capacity. However, it should be noted that currently no new vehicle manufacturer is producing a gas-powered 10-passenger vehicle any longer. So you can't go out and order a new 10-passenger vehicle. Options. Where does that leave us? Our first option is to purchase a 10-passenger rated van by using a reputable licensed second stage manufacturer. However, there are very few of those around, and that most of them aren't carrying the 10-passenger vans anymore either, because it creates a liability issue for them as well. The second option is smaller vehicles such as cars, Ford Expeditions, Chevy Suburbans, Dodge vans, whatever make or model you want to, but the smaller 8-passenger vans are a vehicle or a Suburban or Expedition type vehicle are acceptable to transport school students in as well. The third option, and one that we're looking into, is a minibus that has a service door, so much like a school bus, but and a step well for passenger entry, but that is rated for up to 14 passengers as well. So, in short, I just wanted to take a moment to discuss this in public and let you know, and the public know as well, that with the change in laws, it creates issues for us and in how and what we can utilize to transport students from point A to point B, and it also creates expenses that we wouldn't normally have to look at going out and finding as well. So I want you to know that later on I'm going to be asking you to grant me the authority or authorization to be able to search out and find vehicles, because we do have a fleet. Right now, we have 7 of those 15 passenger vans that will become, next May, will become against the law to use to transport vehicles. So we have to figure out a solution, and those really are our options. So I guess I would take any questions at this time if there are any, or any suggestions.
So the law's grandfathered us for a year, basically, with our current.
Yeah.
And so then we can sell those vehicles, and who can buy them?
We can trade them to a dealer, and then dealers can turn around and trade them or sell them to, for instance, airports or other types of modes of transportation that may be able to use them. You just can't transport. And the interesting thing is you can't transport preschool, elementary, or high school age students, but secondary age students can be transported that are over the age of 18. So.
But those are also very old.
They're very old. So we can use them, we could trade them in per se on a new 8-passenger van or Suburban or Expedition. It just depends on which manufacturer you go with, what model you'd be looking at.
And then what we'll have is 8 new vehicles that all wear out at the same time.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to do all 8 at once, so if we can get at least 1, maybe 2 taken care of during this time period and over the course of the next 3-4 months, then we continue to see what we can do in the next budget cycle as well, and hopefully get a couple more.
There wasn't any money attached to that legislation?
Nope. Nope,
And that's not state, that was federal, right?
that was federal, yeah.
All right, any more questions on the vans?
What's the difference in price between a 10-passenger vehicle and one of those buses?
The minibuses usually run somewhere between, we found if they're, and then you get to talk about the difference between used and new. We have found 2 used ones, one in Oklahoma and one in Texas, and they have an average of somewhere between 20,000 to 35,000 miles on them, and they average between about $45,000 to $65,000. So the other problem is that they're clear down there, so we have to figure out how to take a look at them without overcommitting too much.
And older.
And older. One was a 2007 and one was a 2009. So a newer 8-passenger van we can get for around $40,000 to $45,000.
All right, any more questions? Moving on to the action portion. First up, approval of bread bids for the 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
Is it June? Did July?
We're early.
Early.
I see, okay. I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the bread bid from Rotella for the 2024-25 school year.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. All right, Dr. Nielsen.
Okay, we sent out 3 bread bids and we received 1 back, and so they were all due May 1st, and currently Rotella is the only one that is serving schools. So we are moving forward. We would ask that the board move forward with Rotella.
How much of an increase from last year? Or was there?
There was a slight increase, yes, but it wasn't enough to cause us to go start searching and calling, and no.
Which nobody else does it, so.
That's exactly it.
All right, any more questions for Dr. Nielsen? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of milk bids for the 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the milk bid from Highland Dairy for the 2024-25 school year.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet and Dr. Nielsen.
Okay, again, we sent out 2 bids and we received 1 back. Highland is the only one that is doing milk, and is the only one that is serving schools. And I will tell you, the increase was not enough to raise the milk prices for this year, so we just kept everything as is, and we would ask that the board approve the contract with Highland.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? Motion passes. Next up, approval of breakfast and lunch prices for 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the breakfast and lunch prices for the 2024-25 school year as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet and Dr. Nelson.
Okay, perfect. Every year we have to utilize, it is called the Paid Lunch Equity Tool. It is what the state sends us, and it tells us exactly where we are and where we need to be. So currently, the average paid price is $3.85, and you can see that we are completely under that. But in order to meet that average price with all of our paid lunches and with our free and reduced lunches and everything we get reimbursed for, we have to raise 10 cents. If we choose not to raise 10 cents, well then the following year we're raising probably 20, maybe 25, 30 cents. So we like to do it in a smaller increment. But I would say again, if you, for even adults, if you go and drive through Dairy Queen, Runza, McDonald's, finding a lunch for adults for $4.70, it would be very hard. And the amount of food that you get from our cafeteria is amazing, and the food quality is just as good, I would say even better. So we are looking at adding 10 cents. We kept milk the same, and our reduced prices are the same as well as what they have been. Those are set rates. And so I would ask that the board approve the lunch prices for the 24-25 school year.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, vehicle replacement authorization. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 authorize Mr. Alexander to purchase vehicles up to $70,000.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Eric. Mr. Alexander, anything to add to that?
Pretty much, the explanation came in the discussion portion. Folks, where we're at is what we'll do is Rhonda will help, and we'll conduct a search, and we will try and find as many vehicles for around that dollar amount. If we have to do anything more than that, we'll come back and let you know, but we feel like we gotta take some action and get some vehicles, start to get some vehicles replaced.
Okay, thank you. Any other further questions on the vehicles?
Just for clarification, that's not 70,000 per unit, is that correct? It's 70,000 total?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
It says purchase vehicles up to 70, so I kind of got the impression that was 70 per unit.
Total. Good clarifying question.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of the Interlocal Cooperation Act agreement for a technology coordinator with ESU 5 for the 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the Interlocal Cooperation Act agreement with the ESU 5 for a technology coordinator for the 2024-25 school year.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Eric. Mr. Alexander.
Just some quick information. This is, I think, the fourth year that we've been in this contract with Educational Service Unit number 5, and it works really well for us. It provides us a great level of service. Brian McDowell is kind of the person at the lead of that, but we also at various times get a couple extra people from ESU 5 to help us. So the tech, we don't really have a tech coordinator. We have a technology contract with ESU 5, and Ryan kind of serves as the tech coordinator. But you'll oftentimes see Jason, Dave in the building along with him, and they do a great job of keeping us going and are helping us tremendously with the new project at the elementary as well. Ryan was working on just getting the internet connected last week, so I think that's all up and running.
Okay, thank you. Any other further questions? Seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of cleaning equipment for new elementary, ESSER's 3 funds. Do I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the purchase of cleaning equipment from EECS for the new building utilizing the ESSER's 3 funds.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. All right, Mr. Alexander.
Okay, as we discussed in the committee of the whole meeting, we went out to a few companies. I think we went out to 3 different companies, asked them for quotes that they could give back on floor scrubbers and vacuum cleaners, and we also looked at a window washer because we, as you know, if you've been by the building, there are several windows. We decided against the window washer at this time, but know that we're going to need 2 to 3 floor scrubbers with the amount of LVT that we have in that building, and several vacuums. So I think we've got right now quoted about 5.5 vacuums. Obviously, can't vacuum with a half a vacuum, so we'll have to accommodate one way or the other. But as you can see through what was in your packet, not all items are above the $5,000 threshold for board approval, but one of those items is above the $5,000 mark. So we wanted to share all the information with you so you could see it. EECS has come back as the best quote on the equipment, so that's our recommendation, is that we move forward with the EECS quote. And that information's up there for you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, comments? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. Next up, approval of classified staff salary schedule, wages, and benefits for the 2024-25 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the classified staff salary schedule and approximate 3.2% total package increase for classified staff wages for the 2024-25 school year.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Mr. Alexander.
Just some quick statistics to recount for you and for the public in regards to the classified staff salary schedule and the wage increase. As you all know, in 2026 January, we have to hit that $15 per hour mark, so we continue to try and work our way towards that. This particular package impacts all 181 classified staff in the district, gets the lowest starting pay job in the district to $14.60 per hour, is an estimated $215,728 impact on the budget. It's about an approximate 3.2% increase per hour, which equates to about 44 cents per hour for our classified staff. Remember, that all kind of depends on where they fall on the salary schedule too. So it could be more for some, it just depends on whether. But keep in mind, 6 months, and a positive evaluation recommendation from their supervisors, employers are then eligible for an additional 2% for every form. Some people may start at a little higher salary, but they don't have that additional bump that comes in after that 6-month training period. So that works out well for us as well. Assuming that you approve this, individual letters will be sent out to staff members tomorrow that will show them where they are this year and what their pay will be for next year. So that's what we have as a recommendation for classified staff.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. All right, next up, approval of other contracted staff wages and benefits for the 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve an approximate 3.3% salary increase in the other contracted staff wages for the 2024-25 school year.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Mr. Alexander.
Very quickly, a lot of the same statistics in regards to the other contracted employees. It's not as many. There's only about 10 to 12 of employees that fit into this category. But in looking at what their current salaries are and making a recommendation for next year, they would be at about a 3.3% increase.
Any questions? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? Motion passes. Next up, approval of administrator salaries and benefits for the 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve an approximate 2.78% salary increase in administrator salaries for the 2024-25 school year.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janet. Mr. Alexander, any comments?
Just as we continue to try and keep up with the districts around us, even with the 2.78% increase in salaries, it will have a negative impact on the budget due to one retirement and reducing one administrative position for the coming, or due to two retirements and reducing one administrative position for the coming year. So it's actually a negative impact on the budget, even though it's a 2.78% increase for administrative staff.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, can I have your votes, please? And motion passes. And lastly, approval of hiring of Dylan Kendall, High School Assistant Principal for the 24-25 school year. Do I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 approve the contract with Dylan Kendall, High School Assistant Principal for the 2024-25 school year.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Mr. Alexander?
Just excited to bring home one of our own BPS graduates that has gone through our system, is excited about being back, and we are excited to have him. Dylan's really only weakness, if there is one, I would say, is going to be his experience. But other than that, I think he is as organized and he's as much of a developer and ready to be a principal as anybody I've ever seen. So we're excited about that opportunity to have him back, and he'll be a great balance with Mr. Boyd at the helm as the high school principal.
All right, thank you. Any further questions? All right, seeing none, can I have your votes, please? Motion passes. All right, on to administrator's report. Mr. Alexander.
Okay, just a couple of notes. Tonight, we recognized a lot of important people that we hate to see leave us, but we recognize that that's part of the natural step of life in general. We wanted to give you a little bit of a staffing update in regards to where we are with everything else in the district, because it's important to do so. So we broke it down into grade levels, the preschool through 5th grade. Just want you to know, the people we talked about tonight, we have 10 new certified staff members that will be filling their spots. We had 1 retirement, 1 promotion to a position outside of the district that allowed more flexibility. We have 1 that moved closer to where she resides because of her child. We had 1 open position that was filled from 23-24, and we have 2 employees that are leaving us to move to smaller school settings. So, and then 4 that moved to internal movements. Obviously, with the new elementary building, there was a lot more shifting that was taking place through PK5. Some staff that moved to the middle school, some staff that moved grade levels at the elementary, but that's how it all shook out. In the 6th through 8th grade, we have 5 new certificated staff members. We had 5 retirements and 1 that moved back home. So we refilled with 5 in that direction. In the 9th through 12th grade, we have 5 new certificated staff members. We had 1 retirement, 1 open position from 23-24 that is now filled, 1 promotion to a position outside the district, and then 1 filling a position in another building in the district. So, and then 1 moving to a smaller school where her child attends. So we had some movement at the high school as well. I think the most important part of this update is that, number 1, we had great cooperation with the teachers that are retiring and leaving us. They told us early so we could find replacements early. And our administrative team did an amazing job of getting out and hiring people and finding people to hire in what is one of the most unprecedented teacher shortages we've seen in history. And I'm very proud of the fact that we will have a full staff of educators for our students next year and for our community. And I think, I don't know what all other schools in the state are dealing with, but I know a lot of schools are not going to be able to say that they have a full staff. So I think that's something that we owe a great deal of credit to those people that left and worked with us early so we could find quality replacements, and we owe it to our administrative team for getting on things early and working to find replacements for our staff for the coming year as well. So that's important. Just a couple of other quick updates for you. In terms of grants, in the past 2 to 3 months, Beatrice Public Schools has applied for multiple grants. We get some, we don't get some. We still have some more applications out there. But just as a quick update and for the public to hear, first of all, Mrs. Brenda Hansel, a true hats off to her and congratulations on applying for the National Children's Family Literacy Grant for the next 3 years. That'll be a $90,000 grant to use over the next 3 years, so that was a nice grant to get. The NDE Safety and Security Grant, Dr. Nielsen, myself, and Ryan sat down, technology coordinator Ryan sat down and wrote that grant. We wrote it for $675,000, but we got $90,000 for security upgrades, so that was a good thing. And then just recently, this past Friday, we got a letter that tells us that we received an $85,000 6-pence continuation grant. So a lot of money flowing into the district over the next several years that we're excited to announce and let you know about. Just a quick shout out to all of our spring activity participants on their accomplishments. I know they're not all done. We have some that will be wrapping up either the mid this week or even next week. But you know, folks, it's just nice when you can go watch our kids participate, do the things that they love to do, and showcase their talents that they've worked really hard on. Finally, we have one sitting among us tonight, but a hats off and congratulations to our 171 graduates. The work that they've put in the past 13 years will show on whatever it is they decided to do, and however many years that they spent at Beatrice Public Schools, whether it's 13 or whether it's 5 or whatever the case may be. We just want to wish them well. Remember, this is a stepping stone in your journey to greatness, and whatever it is you accomplish, you choose to accomplish will be in the next steps of your journey. So good luck. Thank you to the graduates who are leaving us for a great year, and we wish them well. And that's all that I have.
All right, thank you, Jason. Any further questions?
Is that the biggest class we've had in a while?
It is the biggest class we've had in a
I
while.
say, wow.
Yeah, the last 2 years have been right around the 135 to 150 mark, so this one supersedes that by a ways.
Okay, notification of next meeting. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be June 10th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Administration Building. The Committee of the Whole meeting will be May 23rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Administration Building. An agenda for the meeting, which shall be kept continually current, is readily available for public inspection at the Superintendent's office during normal business hours. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that the Board of Education of District 15 adjourn.
I have a motion, do we have a second? Second. And your votes, please. We are adjourned. Thank you.
I know, but NCIS starts at 8, so we got priority now.